The key to healing a marriage is not a magnifying glass. It is a mirror. Most guys approach problems in a marriage in terms of looking at what's going wrong, and they'll hold a magnifying glass and they'll say, look what my wife did. And they look closely. This is what she said. This is what she doesn't say. She disrespects me. She is spending irresponsibly. She doesn't trust me. And everything is about looking at what the spouse is doing. And it doesn't work. When the attitude comes from sharing about what their wife is doing wrong, I rarely see that situation get corrected, because the moment you start focusing with a magnifying glass on what the spouse is doing incorrectly, what happens is you sit back and say, what do I do? This is what my wife is. What in the world am I supposed to do? Which, by the way, nobody in the world is going to be able to help you, because the solution is always going to come back to being a mirror. And I'll explain exactly what that means in a minute. But using a magnifying glass is a very convenient way, but it's also a useless way to heal a marriage, because there's an unlimited amount of problems you can discover. Lack of sex, lack of passion, a lack of communication, and the anger and the anxiety. There's no limit of analyzing that problem. And when me and my wife were in counseling about 11 years ago, the reason why it wasn't working, and the reason why marriage counseling rarely works, is because it focuses on everything that's going bad. And that what's going bad is a result of the fact that you guys don't have a good connection. So automatically, when a couple is not connected, when they're not in tune, and they don't see eye to eye, and they don't feel loved by each other, and they don't feel respected by each other, once you're in that state, your emotional frequencies are on two different levels, nothing is going to go good. Everything you talk about is an argument. The kids are an argument. Of course, finances is a huge argument. When you start looking at the result of your problem, which is the finances, the communication, the kids, the affairs, you get distracted and you forget that that actually happened as a result of the couple not being adequately connected to each other and intimately connected at a level where they just know the other one is absolutely crazy over them. When you come from a place of looking at what's going wrong, you're never going to finish. Any type of tip you're going to get to solve a specific problem, let's say it's a communication problem. You read a book about communication tips. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a situation when a person has cancer. It's like, okay, so here's how you're going to feel better. Take an aspirin, take a Band-Aid. The guy freaking has cancer. You're going to give him a tip about passion, about sex, about communication, about handling money. We have guys over here who are like, their marriage is in crisis because of money, and guys are jumping in to give them advice about how to handle money, and Dave Ramsey, and it's fantastic stuff, but it's not going to heal your marriage. It's a Band-Aid. And it's a lie to think that your marriage is like that just because of money. It's simply not true. But the point over here is it starts with the attitude, and that's what I'm trying to boil it down to the basics. It comes down to use a freaking mirror. Using a mirror means that you're looking at yourself. And you're looking at yourself to see, what can I do differently? What can I become differently? And then mirror that into marriage. Because if you don't do that, if you don't use a mirror, if you're only using a magnifying glass, essentially what you're looking for is a magical tip. You're looking for a trick. You're looking for a technique. You're not looking for a habit change. You're not looking for an attitude change. You're not looking for a spiritual experience which is going to open you up, take you to the next level. You're looking essentially for, like, oh, how do I fix this table? It's broken. How do I do it? And with marriage, it doesn't work. And that's why people could go endlessly from blogs and books and forums and just checking and reading the 5 love languages and one YouTube solution after another YouTube solution, and they'll never get to that point of intimacy and confidence and clarity and certainty in their marriage, because they're constantly dealing with symptoms and not getting to the heart of it. What is it that connects a couple to each other? The beginning of that solution always begins with a mirror. It always begins with holding up a mirror to yourself and taking a close look at who you are, who you have become, who you can be, and what your potential is. Once you get into that space, once a husband is dialed in on an emotional level, on a spiritual level, on a psychological level, and he knows where he's supposed to be and develops the habits and attitudes that support that, after that, then many great strategies will work. The 5 love languages will work. You can take some techniques from some great books, Men Are From Mars. You can take some of that and use it. It's going to be useful, but those are tools. The tool can only be as good as the person holding the tool. You're not going to say that the hammer is a great hammer or a smart hammer. It's just a hammer. And if the guy holding it is an idiot, he's just going to make a mess with the hammer. So a lot of these tools, for example, I'm just picking like so the 5 love languages or Men Are From Mars, or other techniques and strategies are merely tools, but in the hands of somebody who is not licensed, so to speak, to hold a hammer, he's holding something which actually is making more damage to the marriage because he's coming into the marriage with, oh, I know the 5 love languages. My love language is touch. My wife's love language is quality time. I'm giving her quality time, but she's not giving me touch. If you want more information, check my video about why the 5 love languages don't work. The key is to hold the mirror. When you hold the mirror up to yourself, you get clarity about who you are and what you can become, and then you go ahead and pursue that. And to each person, it's different. It's not exactly the same. That's why it's not a cookie cutter solution for everybody. That is when the marriage starts transforming and you feel the transformation. The transformation starts in yourself. You actually know the marriage is going to be saved because you feel the changes. You feel the clarity. One of the ways that the guys do it in the wrong way is they say, okay, I'm going to hold the mirror up to myself. But the way they hold the mirror up, they're not really holding it up. They're holding it up to their knees. So they're not holding it up to their face. They're holding it up to their knees. What I mean to say is they're holding it up to a place that doesn't matter. When you say hold the mirror up, you mean hold it to your face because that's where the personality, character is, and that's where the spirit and the soul of a man is. And when I say holding up to a knee, it's figuratively trying to say holding it up in a way that doesn't matter. For example, I'll give you 2 examples. One example would be they're holding it up and they start doing stuff. They'll say, oh, my wife used to complain how I'm not home enough, or I don't do enough, or I'm sitting on the couch and I'm watching TV and I don't care and I'm not interested. So I started doing things. Now I cook dinner. Now I do the laundry. I shop. I've started cleaning up the basement. I'm doing the lawn. And I always ask these guys when they say that, I say, and is it helping the marriage? And the answer is always the same. Well, I'm doing the best I can, but she decided she wants to leave anyways. After 3-4 months of him doing the honey-do list, it doesn't work. And there's a few different reasons why it doesn't work. And one of the reasons is because she thinks that it's superficial and he's manipulating her. And very often it's true. There's a variety of reasons why it doesn't work. But the bottom line is these are external ways of holding up the mirror. This mirror is not helping you. Just say, okay, I started doing stuff. They go back to memory lane and they remember all the stuff their wife used to ask them when they ignored her, when they neglected her. Now they get their butt off the couch and they start doing things around the house, and it doesn't turn around the marriage. Sometimes she notices it and she'll say, thank you, but that's not what I need. And that makes the guy crazy because what the hell do you need? This is what you said. This is what you told me for many years that you wanted. I'm finally doing it. Why are you walking out? And sometimes she won't even give him the good feeling of noticing his efforts because she's afraid if she notices it, he's going to think that that was good enough. And inevitably, it's a frustrating experience for guys. Another way they hold up the mirror in the wrong way is they start sacrificing themselves. They start compromising, bending over backwards, and doing everything to please her, even at the expense of themselves. And of course, when we say please her, they're assuming they know what she wants. And again, they're frustrated because they're not getting the result. Now, holding up the mirror is something that we teach in my program, in the Amazing Marriage Fast Track. This is exactly what we do. The way it's supposed to be done is in a way that gives you confidence, a lot of confidence in your abilities as a husband. It gives you emotional clarity. It gives you intuition. And most importantly, it gives you influence, because when you hold up the mirror in a way that really goes deep into who you are as a person, in your heart, in your mind, in your soul, what's happening, it's almost like 50% of the change happens when you see the problem. And that is exactly what you focus on. So if you want to get help, not just like temporary Band-Aid, but a real permanent solution that's going to turn around and transform your marriage and give you another 40, 50 years of respect, passion, love, and appreciation, another several decades where you don't have to worry about, is your wife really like you? And what is she doing behind your back? Is she texting other guys? If you want to get a transformational experience and explore it, book a call now with me and my team. This is going to be the best hour you have ever invested in your marriage, because that's when we're going to take a look at your mirror. We're going to hold up the mirror to you in a way that's going to give us clarity. Number one, can we save your marriage? And if yes, how are we going to do that? What's the exact fundamental problem that's stopping you from having a blissful marriage? And number two, are we able to do that? And if we can do that, we'll absolutely show you the strategy. And if not, we'll steer you in another direction. But the bottom line, it's going to be the best hour you ever invested in your marriage to speak with me or someone on my team and really dive into an honest, transparent conversation that really goes to the heart and cuts through all the excuses you've been accumulating over years, and really see, how do you get a marriage that you actually thought you're going to get when you got married? Right? When you were married, most of us had a vision. We had something exciting. We had something that we really believed could have been innocent and naive, but that was the truth. That was actually the godly truth inside of us. That was the divine truth, that we knew that marriage is supposed to be great. It's supposed to be getting better over time. And over time, we gave up on that. And you take a call with me or one of the advisors on our coaching team, and you take a look at yourself, you say, is it possible to recapture it? Sometimes it's not. Unfortunately, sometimes some guys call and it's too late. But very often it is possible. So by all means, if you want to take a look at your mirror and do it in a professional way, in a thorough way, in a way that's going to give you a lot of clarity, book a call with us now, and we'll be happy to speak with you and walk you through to your dream. God bless you and take care.